Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. It's Fertility Talk. I've gone live just about 2 minutes before 8, only because we are going into load shedding now. So I thought I'll just come on just a tad early. Let's hope it stays on a little longer. So today we are talking to Trisha Albertine. She's from Nurture Egg Donor Program. But before we get into that, I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined us on the weekend. It was an amazing luncheon that we had at the Vineyard Hotel, and all that I got to meet so many of you. Thanks very much, Lizana. Thank you for the lovely gifts from Rosetone. We just had such an awesome time at the event. And we hope we can have many more of those soon. But for now, we're going to talk to Trisha. I think she's around. We're talking about who needs donor eggs. And yeah, so we're just going to invite her. Nurture, there we go. I'm able to join. There we go. Are you there? I think Trisha's joining. Coming on now. Okay, so yeah, we're talking to Trisha Albertine. She's from Nurture Egg Donor. Just going to give it a couple of minutes. Come on. She's having a bit of an issue connecting. We'll wait for you. I'll just send another invite. Here we go. So, for those of you kept on air here, we are having a little get together with the ladies of Cape Town on the 13th. So if you want to join us, support group for the ladies that's dealing with infertility, please join us on the 13th at 7 p.m. At Cape Fertility Clinic, and you can just DM me for that details. Okay, so Tersha's joined us. Thank you for joining us, Tersha. I thought I'd give you a couple of minutes.
Thank you, I needed
it. I went live just before the time because I'm having load shedding soon, so I'm like, get as much good light in as possible now. So for the first time I'm talking to you, and I'm feeling so honored to speak to you, because I've always, for all the years, I've always heard about you. I think that you're one of the first ladies that came out and spoke about, infertility and dealing with infertility. I mean, those years ago. And then back then I was actually hearing about you when I was also on my journey. And so I'm so grateful to be able to speak to you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm honored to speak to you and to everyone who's joined.
Thanks, Trisha. So we're going to talk about who needs donor eggs. But before we get into it, can you please introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and what it is that you do at Nurture as well.
Okay, great. Well, my name's Trisha, and I call myself an infertility veteran. Been there, done that, and luckily I did get the T-shirt. I did my IVF. I started about 23 years ago, I think so, long time. I did 9 IVFs and some IUIs, and then I eventually conceived my twins on my 9th IVF. And in that journey, I've kind of been there, done that, seen it all, had miscarriages, ectopics, and all sorts of things.
Wow. I'd say like goosebumps when I heard 9, but you pushed through for 9 IVFs. Wow.
Yeah, I was actually, when I was thinking about what I was going to say, I was thinking one of the things is that some people would say I'm brave, other people would say I'm silly, but to be honest, the fear of not trying again was harder than trying again. So, yeah.
Thank you very much for that. So like I said, we're going to talk about who needs donor eggs. So who does need donor eggs?
So basically anyone who isn't able to have a child using their own eggs. Now that could be because it's someone who's been to chemotherapy, let's say, someone who's got a diminished ovarian reserve, so they have fewer eggs of lesser quality than perhaps they should. Someone who's older, or a gay male person who doesn't have eggs. So anyone who isn't able to use their own eggs.
Okay. And then how does the process work when wanting to need or needing donor eggs?
So, well, first of all, patients come to us normally after trying for many years, many attempts, after lots of heartbreak and pain and disappointment and stuff like that. And then their fertility specialist will sit them down and tell them, it is unlikely that you'll be able to have a baby using your own eggs. Now, that's obviously a devastating thing for anyone to hear. I mean, none of us grow up thinking that we might need the help of a donor one day. So when the patients, they get referred to us, and when they come to us, they're in quite a sad place. They've been through a lot. Many of them have to grieve, go through a grieving process to grieve the loss of their own DNA. So they come to us, and then they get filled with hope again, because this process is amazingly successful. It just is amazing. I mean, these are patients that were given less than 10%, less than 20% chance of having a baby, to a 60 to 70% chance of having a baby. So it is just phenomenally successful. So they come to us. Now, most people, when they look for a donor, they are looking for a donor that looks like the mom to be.
Yes.
So if she's got blue eyes and blonde hair, she will look for donors who have blue eyes and blonde hair. I see your, thank you, Escom.
Thank you, Escom.
Thank you, Escom. Yes, we had it earlier on. So they start off, they come to us and they look at our data, they register, sign up with us for free, and then they view all the anonymous donor profiles on our database. And we have got over 600 immediately available egg donors on our database.
Wow.
So we've got lots and lots and lots of egg donors. But obviously, I mean, if you're looking for a 6-foot red-headed donor in Bloemfontein, there might be fewer to choose from. So it all depends what people are looking for. And then we help the recipient parents match with their ideal egg donor. That's in a nutshell, an eggshell.
Okay. And then, what info is available about the donor?
Lots and lots of information. Lots of information. What is not available about the donor, let me start there, is her identifying information. Because egg donation, if it's done through an agency like ours, has to be done anonymously. So it's a different process if you're using your sister or your friend as your egg donor. But let's talk about what I do. So we take out identifying information and adult photos of the donors. So what the recipient sees is all the physical characteristics of the donor: eye color, hair color, height, weight, the height and weight and eye color and hair color of her mother, father, grandparents, her education, her personal characteristics, personality, medical history, family's medical history. So there's a lot of information that you get on the donor. A lot. 13 pages of information.
Wow. And then how do you choose a donor?
Oh, I mean, that is just such an individual process to go through. As I said, most people will start with the physical characteristics. So we've got search criteria on our database. So you say, I want to see all blue-eyed, blonde-haired donors in Cape Town, right? Because we work across the country. Then a whole lot of profiles will come up, and then the recipient parent will read through each of the profiles, and they will try and find something that hooks them to that donor. So let's say the recipient is very musical, and there's a donor that says she's very musical and loves playing the piano. That might be the connection that parent finds. But I always love to tell the story, and I can chat about this for hours. Just stop me if I chat too much. But we had like the example of 2 recipient parents. The one approached it very scientifically. She was an academic, so she did an Excel spreadsheet of all the donors' criteria and the one that she liked, and then she did her own criteria, and she did like a formula of how she matched who she chose. Then we had another recipient who was very spiritual, and she consulted a whole lot of spiritual people, and she wanted a spiritual connection with the donor through her profile. Both of them chose the perfect donor for them. Both of them had successful pregnancies and had the children that were meant to be their children. They were meant to be these children's mothers. So it's very individual, according to what. But as I said, mostly it starts with physical similarities and maybe academic similarities, and then sporting or musical and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. How are donors screened?
So there's actually a really rigorous screening process in place. we've had over 20,000 donors apply, potential egg donors apply to our program. And only around 1 in 10 will actually qualify to be an egg donor. So we've got an amazing online tool that does a basic screening. And that's age, obviously. The donors have to be between 19 and 33. We only take donors until 29 on our program, but other programs do slightly older donors. So that screens them for that. And then we go through the donor's profile and we look for red flags. Any medication they're taking which they can't be taken while they're donating, family health history, hereditary issues. So we screen as much as we can, and then we interview each donor. And only once that whole process is done will her profile be made active in our database. But obviously we can only do so much. We're not professionals. So the donor needs to see the fertility specialist for her medical screening. She has an ultrasound to make sure that she's got sufficient eggs in her ovaries. She'll have blood tests done to make sure she's got no infectious diseases. And then each donor also has to have a psychological assessment to make sure that she's mentally healthy enough to donate and there's no mental issues that are hereditary in the donor. So it's a tough screening process.
Yes. And then what are the success rates of using donor eggs? I think we touched on that earlier.
Yeah, no, really, really amazing. It's obviously clinic dependent, and there's a whole lot of issues. It's not just about the egg, even though the egg is super, super important. Sperm issues, womb issues. There's a whole lot of issues that go, but you can look at between 60 to 70% success rate. Amazing, really, really amazing.
That's very good. Yeah, that's good success.
I mean,
good success rate.
The cold, hard, horrible truth is that as women, our eggs have an expiry date. And it doesn't matter how fit and fabulous and gorgeous we look on the outside, 40-year-old eggs are 40-year-old eggs. So here you're using young eggs versus older eggs. The success rate is just different, and that's statistics, It's unfortunate, it's sad, but that's how it is.
Yeah. And then do you have any advice for our listeners? But okay, before I actually get into that, I've got another question for you. Yes. Sorry. So when you are looking at doing donor eggs, do you have to, can someone come directly to you? Or do you go to your fertility clinic and they contact you? How does that process work?
So it works. Some patients come to us directly, but